channel.
Welcome everyone back to the May event here at the May event 2024 here at the No Pressure channel. No Press fan welcome, and newcomers welcome as well. Now I do want to apologize in advance. There's going to be a little bit of loud construction in the background. Fortunately, I can't do anything about it, but I'm going to try to do my best to block out the sound as much as possible. But that being said, let's move on. Let's explain a few of the rules here at the May event, which is simple. Just have fun. Whatever my answer is at the end of this episode is not 100% bulletproof, no one can argue it type of thing. It's just an argument. You guys can feel free to leave it down in the comment section below whether you agree or you disagree with me. Just be civil. Another thing is that you, the voters, are the ones that decided who is going to face in what genre and what match, who's going to face which character. Unfortunately, TikTok had a technical issue this year, so we only got a handful of you guys to be able to vote certain categories in, and I had to select the other ones this time. And the last thing being this. We have to determine one clear winner. Usually on the beatdown episode, we give you two different arguments from two different sides. Then you guys hashtag whichever one you guys thought was the best argument. But for this one, we're just going to pick one clear winner. All right, simple enough. Let's move on. Today's episode, we are doing something different here at the May event, a new match, which is called the hybrid match. Now, as a hybrid match, I'll make it real simple. It's just based on characters who happen to be two different types of beings. It could be an alien mixed with hero. It could be a mutant mixed with hero with a regular human. It could be a whole bunch of things. Like anything with a combination is in this match. And I already got some two interesting characters, so this one should be a very interesting one. So let's start off with these two stats. In one corner representing Image Comics, Invincible's comics own Invincible. Half human and half Viltrumite, he can lift 400 tons just to train. He threw a baseball around the planet. He knocks down a giant monster king down with one single hit. Lifts a massive pillar. With just two other Viltrumites, managed to punch through a planet and blow it up. Axstroms gets beaten to a bloody pulp because Invincible thought he was stronger and didn't hold back. Redirected a meteor by himself, cut open a giant alien slug monster. He can run through a spaceship and even toss it. Defeated alternate versions of himself. Took a nuke to the face without a scratch. He surpasses his father in strength. He can theoretically toss a meteor the size of Texas. Took on Conquest, another Viltrumite. Automatus, a being that can drain an entire universe of its energies to gain power and even take on the entire roster of Invincible Comics heroes Mark took on. Take on Alan the Alien, defeated Dinosaurus. Invincible defeated Drag, the strongest Viltrumite. He could technically take over the universe and enslave everyone with ease, but because of his morals, he chooses not to. He can fly faster than a billion times than the speed of light itself. And on this corner representing Dark Horse Comics, we have our own Umbrella Academy's own number one, aka Luther Hargraves, aka Spaceboy. I do want to apologize in advance for the minimum information I could find about this character, but I do believe I can still drive home the case even with the material I have. With that in mind, here we go. Luther was already pretty strong before the moon incident, and as a child, might I add. As a kid, everything Luther attempts, he naturally excels at, making him the perfect candidate for number one, becoming his other's adopted siblings' leader. This also makes him pretty savvy to inventing things on his own whenever he needs it. Jump extremely high, traveling many miles from where he took off from. His strength is quite the gift, as he is able to knock down an Eiffel Tower with a single blow of his fist. Another time, he broke through a wall with relative ease and defeated a villain named Dr. Terminal. Another mission, he takes on a recently brought to life monument of Abraham Lincoln and took that on. How about this? The boy was the first child to travel into space. That itself is quite a feat. A mission to Mars changes Luther forever, as it went wrong and his father had to do some crazy experiment on him, combining his head with that of a Martian gorilla. With this new body, he was even more stronger than he was ever before, and not only that, more durable. Kept an eye on the planet from intergalactic threats from the moon. Sorry, I said that with like a mouthful of marbles. He traveled back in time during this form and became a guerrilla fighter in the Vietnam War, and even took down a giant mummy with a devastating blow. His weapon of choice is a laser pistol on which he can aim with excellent marksmanship, and he also carries a jetpack for those out of jams needed scenarios. Alright guys, now I also want to do just a quick shout out for my mom and my sister for giving me this awesome gift. I really do appreciate it. It's a really dope jacket. But moving on from that, let's talk about how Invincible on this. Let's talk about both arguments on pros on how which one would be able to defeat the other one. So let's start off with Invincible, how Invincible would defeat Spaceboy. Let's start off with the fact that Invincible has a lot more arsenal in his in his tools, considering the fact that he can fly, he's super strong, and he's quite fast, so, and he's kind of durable. So there's a lot of things that kind of just make him a perfect combination of hard to beat, considering he has so many weapons in his disposal compared to Spaceboy, who has very limited amount of options to go on, considering that he's only limited by strength and so on and so forth. But he's not exactly on the same level as Invincible. And what I mean by that is, let's talk about in the comics, like, yes, number one is impressive, and yes, he was watching for galactic danger and stuff like that, intergalactic danger, but at the same time, he's never really faced, at least not that I'm aware of, a really great threat like a space threat or anything like that. He's fought some great threats, but not top tier planet buster threats, not that I'm aware of. So in this case, I'm gonna give this to Invincible. A couple of other points I'll have to make is obvious that he's a lot like, okay, so on top of not only just having a lot of arsenal tools, the tools are much stronger than Spaceboy. He's much stronger. He's proven time. His father was able to hit something as big as Texas, a meteor like that, and Invincible was able to do something like that as well. He fought his father. He fought some great people like Alan the Alien. He's fought some very top tier planet buster characters, so his strength is really really up there. Where Spaceboy's is impressive, but it's not right up there where it's like it's going to be able to destroy a planet or be able to crush a planet with his own strength or his own might. And the last thing I'll probably mention as the argument, because there's not really much that you can say, because obviously Invincible and Spaceboy are kind of equally matched. Invincible is a lot tougher. Durability wise, he's going to be hard to put down for sure. But the last thing I'll make is there was a situation in the comics where Invincible fought, I think his name was Drag or something like that, and they fought in the sun, and he just had to outlast him. Now, I don't think he needs to really do this type of situation with Spaceboy, but he could, and I think he would outlast him long enough for Spaceboy to burn out. Now, Spaceboy is tough, but not tough enough to survive the sun, compared to Invincible, who is actually capable of surviving the sun for a long period of time before he gives out. So all it is just a who's going to outweigh who, or who's going to outlast who. And I'm going to say that Invincible, considering the fact that he showed in the comics he could outlast in the sun pretty long time, yeah, he's going to outlast Spaceboy and claim the W on this end. All right, now let's talk about how Spaceboy, number one, Luther, would be able to defeat Invincible. Now, let's start off with the fact that between the two, who is the smarter of the two? Gonna give it to Luther. Luther was a bright child, and if as long as he sets his mind to something, he could achieve anything. So he did that since he was a kid. I mean, this is the first kid who went into space. So yeah, do I believe he's a lot smarter than Invincible? Absolutely. Invincible, he's impressive, but he's not the super smartest man in the universe compared to Spaceboy, who's actually had his brilliance kind of shown throughout his youthful years. Another thing you can add on to the whole youthful situation is that who's had their powers more? Obviously, Spaceboy's had his powers way longer than Invincible has. Invincible got his powers when he hit 17, 18 like that, once he finally hit a certain point, and then he's like, all right, I got my powers. He didn't get them when he was a kid. Spaceboy, Luther, number one, there's all three different names. You can name them either one. He actually got it since he was at birth, which means he was able to learn how to manage his strength or channel it or how to focus it and he was trained by one of the best people out there. So he was learning things at a young age how to control his abilities compared to Invincible, who was just learning a few things for like maybe a year or so with his dad, and then was left to the wolves to have to figure it out for himself. So I'm gonna say, yeah, Spaceboy's knowledge and his abilities are much more veteran based compared to Invincible, which does give him a slight advantage in that situation. And the last point I'll make is the Martian gorilla, alien body he has. Now, why would I bring that up? Well, because yeah, there's no exact detail what the limit is to his strengths in that, but it's a Martian ape or a Martian, gorilla. That's got to say something. I mean, the strength there, I mean, our gorillas alone are pretty strong. They can crush us. Certain monkeys can crush us. So I do believe an alien, a gorilla Mars alien, or a gorilla or alien Mars, sorry, it's a mouthful. Body might have mystery properties when it comes to strength wise. They might be strong than we give it credit for, which means it might be strong enough to take on Invincible, considering it is from another world. On top of that, with Spaceboy's strength, and I'm pretty sure Spaceboy's strength is included along with the Mars gorilla, so it's like a combination of the two, which makes he gives him a more of an amplified strength. He might be right there, we don't really know, he might be there close to being like in the Hulk level. I'm not saying that's a certain thing, but there might be a potential possibility. Ultimately, who would win this one? I'm gonna give it to Invincible. Why? Well, look, Luther is very smart in his own right. He could probably invent something if given enough time. He's also pretty tough. His Martian gorilla body has to come into effect in this situation. But in the comics, there's only been a very few amount of feats that Luther, number one, or whatever you want to call him, Spaceboy, has been able to show. Compared to Invincible, who was able to, with two other Viltrumites, to destroy a planet. He was able to fight his father. He fought Drags. I mean, he fought Alan the Alien. He's fought other great giant threats. I mean, Invincible has fought some pretty top tier level characters. So in the comics, he got to flex more about his record of how he's fought some really planet buster situations and circumstances compared to Spaceboy. So if the two get into a fight together, yeah, Spaceboy might be able to hold his own for quite some time, but I do believe he would need the other team in order to really be able to take on Invincible. I think at some point Invincible might be able to take him off his body or rip an arm off at some point, or do some real damage, considering he's got so much to in his arsenal. Again, he's got speed, he's got strength, and he's got flight. So there's really no way where, Spaceboy would be able to get the advantage at some point unless Invincible gave it to him. So yeah, I got to give this one to Invincible. And as always, no Purse fam, we really appreciate you guys keeping it 400 subs. Peace. Shout out to all my content supporters. We're not working together, but we like to give credit where credit is due. Ivan the Unstoppable for all the knowledge of comic feats, Watch Mojo for origins and for all the background videos, Comic Historian, Comics Explained, and Key Issues. Go ahead and check them out and tap into the world of comics by supporting other creators. Link to channels will be in the description below.